And I think that's the expectation that we train our sales guys to set, is not to promise. There's so many factors in your power bill that we can't control. Power bill is your consumption habits. Mm-hmm. What we can control is the production of your solar system.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Huddle with ES Solar. I'm Josie. This is Kevin, and today we have two very special guests. We have Zach. He's a VP of Sales here at ES Solar, and Felisha, our Manager of Customer Service. So if you guys could just give a little introduction about yourselves, maybe how long you've been at ES, what you do in your role, how long you've been in Utah, just anything to get to know you.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start. So like Josie said, I'm the VP of Sales. And so we have, between our setter team, which go door to door and set appointments, and our closer team, our ETs, we have about, 250 or so salespeople. So it's really grown. When I first started at ES 5 years ago, we only had about, 10 salespeople. So just in the 5 years that I've been here, we've seen a lot of growth on the sales side. And so it's a big sales force, big company, and I manage them. I've been in Utah my whole life, pretty much. I mean, I did a stint for a couple years in Southeast Asia, but I live in Mountain Green, Utah. So I'm only about 20 minutes away from the office here in Layton, and 4 little kids, and been married for 13 years. And yeah, it's a little bit about me. So,
You get to parent people or your kids at home, but then you also get to parent all of the sales guys.
That's right. Yeah. I learned a lot of good parenting skills from being with the sales guys. Yeah.
Awesome. So as Josie said, my name is Felisha. I am the customer service manager. I've been in the solar industry for about 6 years now, and I've been with ES for a little over a year now. When I first got here, the customer service team was about 9 people total, and we are just about hitting 20. So definitely not as many as Zach is having to manage right now, but we are growing as well. So I've been in Utah, born and raised. I've lived mostly in the Ogden area, but I currently live in Roy, and I have myself a little 13-month-old girl, and it's been a good time.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I'll start off with our first question, though. Why is it so important for the sales force and the customer service team to be on the same page?
I think that's a great question. Something that kind of comes up a lot that I think we see both is the ET will meet with the customer and set those expectations. And oftentimes when customer service gets to the point of helping the customer, it's been several months down the line. And so it's really good for us both to be on the same page so we can reiterate the expectations that were set at the beginning of the process and kind of just remind the customer as to, how that process went in the beginning. So it really helps that we meet and we're on the same page and kind of talking on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I agree. It's for ES, it's all about 100% customer satisfaction. It's an impossible goal, but it's always been our goal. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's really, really hard to have everyone be happy, but we try our best to. Mm-hmm. And so we train our salespeople to say the things and teach and talk about our services in the right way so that our customers have the right expectations set. And then it's good for customer service to know kind of what was said at the sell so that when they're dealing with a customer down the road, they know what expectations were set and can help them out that way as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you.
That kind of leads us into talking a little bit more about what your specific department's roles are. So starting with the sales side, Zach, what's kind of like the process and the expectations that happens with sales?
Yeah, so we have kind of a unique process. Our energy technicians, they'll go out and meet with a customer, and just the very first meeting is usually just gathering information to see if the home's even a good fit for the programs that are and incentives and things that are being offered by, the tax credits, the Rocky Mountain Power rebates and things for batteries. So we gather all the information, kind of see what the customer's needs are, see if the home's a good fit. And we submit it to a proposals team, which is a team of engineers that we have here at ES Solar that will put together a proposal based off of what that customer's needs are on their house. And then the second appointment we have with the customer, we go back and kind of talk about their options, what their project would cost, what the incentives would be, what the finance options are. And if the customer decides to move forward, then we get them all signed up and pass them along to our project coordinators who walk them all the way to install.
So what do you expect out of those on your team to deliver for the customers?
So we just expect them to understand the incentives that are available, to be able to explain them clearly so that customers can understand. Because I know there's always a lot of confusion in solar with, what incentives are they and how do they actually work? We're not by any means tax experts, and we don't want to be tax experts, but we need to understand enough about it to explain it clearly enough to a customer to help them make a good choice. And if we can't answer certain questions, our job is just to simply say, hey, well, make sure you're talking to your accountant and making sure that you can personally qualify for these incentives. But our job is to be competent enough to help the customer make a clear decision. And I feel like we do a really good job of that. So,
yeah. And episode 2 of our podcast, we had a tax expert on here. So check that out, episode 2. All right. So Felisha, when should the customer service actually begin with the customer? When does it start, and what do they expect once they contact you?
Right. So that's a really good question, because a lot of the times customer service, we don't really deal with the customer until after they've completely gone through the entire process. Okay. So as soon as the installation has been finalized, commissioning has been done, anything after that point, that's when customer service really steps in. Of course, we filled all the calls that come in, most of them anyway, and then either direct them to the correct department or help the customer out within our own department. Usually what that looks like is if we notice in the monitoring portion of the process that the customer has an alert on their system, or there's something going on that we think might be an issue. At that point, we begin our investigation as to what could be going on. Mm-hmm. So what that looks like is opening a case with SolarEdge. That is usually a 3 to 5 business day wait. And at that time, when we open the case, we also contact the customer and send them an email letting them know that, hey, we saw an alert on your system. Just to let you know, we're checking it out and we'll be in contact soon with more information. And it's usually at that point, after we get an update from SolarEdge, that we are contacting the customer to schedule if need be. Sometimes we're able to resolve it remotely, and at that point we will also let the customer know that, hey, issue's been resolved, no worries, you're good to go. And so that's just the general process overall as far as what we do on the monitoring side.
Nice. So you reach out to the customer before they even know there's a problem because you're monitoring it.
Yes, usually.
That's
yeah.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Very good. Thank
I
you.
can attest to that because I'm an ES Solar customer as well. I'm not just a VP of sales here. I've had ES Solar, my panels I've had for 9 years. And every winter I used to get a call from customer service saying, hey, there's something wrong with a few of your panels. It's because I had snow on them. Okay. So that at that time, those panels, there's nothing actually wrong with them, but they weren't producing. And customer service at ES Solar does a good job of, making sure with me that there's not a real issue, that it was just, so they do a good job of monitoring and letting customers know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So now let's kind of jump into some frequently asked questions or frequent concerns that a lot of customers have had or they may have, and they're curious to know the answer. So we kind of want to talk a little bit about the battery backup, power bills, production guarantee, lifetime warranty, reimbursements. And then if you guys think of anything else that's been a common question or concern, then feel free to add in. So to start with those, let's start with the battery backup and its expectation. A lot of customers probably ask, can a battery fully back up a whole home? Can your whole home really be backed up, or what happens there with the battery?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand with the batteries that it's cool they do backup power, and we can talk a little bit about what it actually does with backup power, but the main purpose of the battery is not backup power. So the reason why we went to what we did in 2020, we went from doing no batteries as a solar company, just like every other solar company, to 100% batteries on all of our installs, was because there was a significant change in the incentive called net metering that Rocky Mountain Power offers customers. And the main purpose of the battery is actually to self-consume the power you're producing with your solar and not rely on what Rocky Mountain Power is paying you or crediting your bill for the excess credits. So the main purpose of your battery is to store today's power so that you can consume your own solar power at night. Because traditional solar, that's not how it works. You're pulling all from the grid at night and relying on credits, and Rocky Mountain Power buying that power in order to help your power bill. And so that's first things first, is everyone thinks of backup when they think of battery.
Yeah.
And it's cool because everyone's, that's never been a thing in solar until we started offering batteries, because solar does not work when the power goes out unless you have a battery. But the battery, yes, it does give you some backup. Now, it depends on what battery you're doing. Some of the batteries that we do are, we select certain breakers on the house. So typically, depending on what breakers you select, 8 to 10, circuits in the house, that when the power goes out, the battery will back up those circuits. I prefer that personally, because batteries, when the power's out and the sun's down, the only power source you have is that battery. So when the battery's done, it's done. So really, we tell customers you behave a little bit differently in a power outage than you do in everyday life, right? When my power goes out and I have a battery at my house from ES Solar, I've got kids normally in 4 different rooms, 4 kids watching TV and doing all these things. I'm not going to do that when the power's out.
Right.
Okay. So I pull everyone into one room. We're watching one TV. We're cooking. We have all the things that we need, our fridges, our freezers, everything's taken care of. But I have a loads panel. So it's, 8 circuits on my house are backed up when the power goes out. We also have other batteries that we offer that back up an entire 200 amp panel. Now, what I mean by panel is, we don't let heavy loads be on that panel still. So like, for instance, an air conditioner. You could technically back up an air conditioning unit with a battery. We do not recommend it ever to a customer, because it'll drain your battery so fast that you won't get any other benefit out of it. We'd rather you run the essentials, the things that you absolutely need for those few hours that the power's out, rather than try to back up an air conditioning unit and have your battery be drained in a half hour, because no one will be happy with that anyway. So that's the expectations that we're trying to set with customers. But yeah, there's no real such thing as a whole home backup with a battery, but it will run all the things that you would want backed up in an emergency situation. And then when the power comes back on, everything goes back to normal when the grid comes back up.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
So have you guys ever had someone contact you saying, well, I want to be all the way off the grid?
All the time.
I want the batteries to be off the grid. What's your response to that?
That's very common with sales guys, and it's hard because what we offer now with the virtual power plant is what we call it, which is solar and a battery, is the closest you'll ever get to being off grid. And yes, when the grid goes down, your battery actually disconnects from the grid. There's a switch, it flips immediately, and we call it islanding. You are technically off grid when the power goes out. But it's not realistic to be completely off grid, especially in Utah. It's the best of both worlds is to have the grid as that third power source. So when you go solar with a battery, your number one power source powering your home is actually your solar panels. Solar powers your home. Any power that's coming from your solar that you're using is coming directly from your solar panels. The second power source is your battery. So that would be your second power source. The third power source would be the grid. And in a climate like Utah, like my house, where in the winter I get a lot of snow and things, it's really nice to have all three. And so we recommend having that grid. And I don't even know if legally it's possible to be completely off grid. I think technically you have to have a relationship with the power company here, the way it works. But the system that we offer is the closest you'll ever get to being off grid, if that helps.
Yeah. So with solar panels, they can power your whole house like during the summer, and your AC during the summer. Is that true? Or do you still need to be connected to the grid? You're
still connected to the grid, but solar, when it's producing, it feeds your house first, and then the excess, if you don't have a battery, all goes to the grid, right? So solar feeds your house first. When you have a battery, it's solar first, then the battery. It goes to the battery, and then to the grid.
That's your third option.
Yes, correct. Your third option would be the grid, but you do need it. And even with a battery, you will pull from the grid. That's another thing that Felisha can attest to. A lot of people think, well, once I get the battery at night, I'm just on my battery. Well, that's you do pull from your battery at night, yes, but you'll hit a certain point of the night where the battery's depleted down to we have a safety level, usually just in case the power goes out in the middle of the night. Usually it's about 20% state of charge for your battery. But yes, you will pull from your battery, but you'll still pull a little bit from the grid, and that's okay. It's okay to pull a little bit from the grid. You still get credits from your power company for overproduction as well, and those credits will help offset a lot of that pullback that you'll do from the grid. So don't panic if you have solar and a battery on your house and you look at the app and at 11 p.m. you're pulling some power from the grid. That's totally normal. That's how it's supposed to work. But what the battery does is it makes it so you pull a lot less from the grid. Because traditional solar without a battery, as soon as the sun goes down, which we're in January right now, so the sun goes down at 5 o'clock, whatever, you're pulling 100% from the grid then. Where with a battery, you might get from 5 to 9 o'clock p.m. pulling from that battery. So that saves you that's a lot more self-consumption than you would have with just solar alone. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that kind of leads into another topic of the power bill. So Felisha, when a customer is calling you guys at customer service and asking why do they have to pay their power bill, why are they still owing $10 this month, or so what? What is your answer to that?
So a lot of the times we just reiterate expectations, kind of how their system works. They're always going to have a power bill. You'll never not have a power bill, especially when you take the connection fee into consideration. So the goal is not to have a zero power bill ever. And we just kind of reiterate those expectations to customers. And then we kind of start digging into, their system size, and we kind of take a look at everything that's going on. If they've had any system issues, if that could be contributing to it, or anything like that. If the customer has been commissioned for 12 months, at that point, we can offer the customer to send in 12 months of power bills, and then we'll run an audit for them. And we'll be able to really do a deep dive on their system, take a look at, okay, these are the 12 months that you initially sent in at the very beginning of your process. Here's how your system has been producing for the last 12 months since you've had solar, what you've put back to the grid, what you've consumed, and then, we really take a look at the overall consumption as well. And it's at that point that we kind of also compare that to the production guarantee. All of our customers have a production guarantee that we stand by. So if for any reason, they did not meet their production guarantee, we can do an evaluation, and we're able to take a look and see, all right, how much is there that we can do a reimbursement for, and we'll take a look at that as well. So that's really the deep dive section of where we can really help customers and help them understand that if maybe perhaps their consumption increased, we can show them those numbers based on their Rocky Mountain power bills, and give them tips and tricks on how to kind of reduce that time of use.
Yeah. And yeah, power bills are funny because with solar, it definitely will reduce your power bill.
Yeah.
100%. And in some cases, a lot of the year, you will only have a connection fee depending on your roof and depending on your consumption habits, which right now the connection fee in Utah is like $10. So I have solar most of the year. That's what my bill is. Every winter, I get a little bit of a power bill, though, which is to be expected. My panels produce very little power because of where I live, and I get a lot of snow accumulation on the panels. But if I didn't have solar, my power bills would be way higher than what they normally are.
Right.
And I think that's the expectation that we train our sales guys to set, is not to promise. There's so many factors in your power bill that we can't control. Power bill is your consumption habits. What we can control is the production of your solar system. So we do a guarantee, like Felisha says, your system's guaranteed to produce a certain amount of kilowatt hours a year. That's all we can control. What we see a lot of times, at least on our side, because I take some of the calls that Felisha does too, is a customer will put solar in 1 year and then they'll put a hot tub in, or they'll go out and buy an electric vehicle. And then they'll start getting a power bill where maybe they didn't at first, or more of a power bill. And they think something's wrong with their solar because they just think, well, I went solar, I shouldn't ever get a power bill.
Right.
But if you use double the amount of power because of the changes you've made at your house, then of course you're going to get more of a power bill. And our guarantee can't cover that. It can only cover what we built your system to actually do, if that makes sense. So that's the expectation that we try to set with every customer. And we want to make sure that customers understand that clearly, because consumption can change and usually does change over time. And no worries, we have a program here at ES Solar that takes care of those customers if they do make changes and add an EV or add hot tub, we have a program in place where they can actually add panels as long as there's roof space available at very little cost. We don't make money on it as a company. We just basically cover the cost of the panels plus the labor to send someone out there. It's called Energy Upgrades for Life. So we've thought of that, and we want to make sure that we take care of our customers that make a decision to go solar with us if they make changes at their house down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. So,
All right.
Felicia, you kind of went into a deep dive too,
Yes.
with a few topics we just kind of want to, I guess, restate in a way. So you went over, there's a little evaluation after a year, good call, of what's happening with your solar,
Mhm.
how its production's going. And you kind of talked a little bit about the guarantee
Yes.
that ES Solar offers, and then plus if we would ever have a reason to reimburse or what that could be.
Yes.
Could you kind of jump in a little to our guarantee we offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that's offered to customers after 12 months after they've been commissioned. So just to kind of give an idea, you get installed and then you have your commissioning date. So it's really from the commissioning date, not the install date. It's also up to the customers to reach out to customer service to initiate that audit. And once they do, then we take those 12 months power bills to do that deep dive. But as far as the production guarantee and what exactly that means, is that ES Solar guarantees that your solar system will produce X amount. So whatever that is, and generally that is confirmed partway through the process. I want to say it's in the process with your project coordinator, and that is they'll confirm that with you prior to installation. So you kind of have that reiterated at that point as well. And that is what we look at. So we look to see if your solar system produced that amount we promised that it would. And also, just so everyone's aware, it is purely based on the solar production. So this wouldn't take into account your battery or any time that your battery is in operation. So it is just purely on the solar production.
Perfect. So then, why would a customer ever be reimbursed by ES?
So we do put in place an 8% margin. That does allow for weather changes because, as Zach was saying, in Utah here, we get a lot of snow. So we account for that, and our customers, they should expect that there's going to be some weather changes, right? So if for any reason that their solar system does not produce within that 8%, so if they fall under that 8%, then we'll take a look at what they should have produced minus the 8%. And then we generally do an average over the year of what they are generally charged. And I want to say it's about 11 cents. And then we're able to times that by the rate of what they should have produced to make up for that. And then we reimburse based on that. And so when we do go through that reimbursement process, we send out an email that has the math included. So every customer will have the exact math we use to calculate that reimbursement.
Is that pretty common, or do you see that much?
We really don't. 2022 was a little unique just due to the amount of time the snow really lasted. I think we had snow clear into March or April.
I can speak to that because I think it went below freezing and a lot of snow in October.
Yeah.
And I don't think it went above freezing until March.
Yeah.
So it was a very abnormal year.
It
so
was.
I normally don't have much of a power bill in the winter, but I was getting my full power bill because like I say and that was a lot of customers too. So 2022 was a record year of snow in Utah for sure.
And outside of that, we really don't. Almost always I can say with confidence that we really do meet our production guarantee. So that's something that we do have for customers.
Now, do you think other companies offer this as well?
I've never seen this. So
Okay.
I don't believe so.
No, so it gets a little confusing because all solar panel manufacturers do some form of a production guarantee. They don't reimburse for anything, but they guarantee your panels for a 25-year period. There's a linear production guarantee. Everyone has that, right? So we have that as well. But the difference with ES is as a contractor, we're the only solar contractor that I've ever seen that does your install and does a 5-year guarantee on top of the manufacturer guarantee, just so you know we sized your system correctly. And that's really cool. It gives our customers a little bit of assurance that, hey, we did our due diligence. We know exactly how much sun that roof section is going to get. We took into account your trees, the chimney, whatever else could be a factor for production. And we put our stamp of stamp behind it
Right.
and our confidence behind it that it's going to produce what it does. And like Felisha said, until that crazy snowstorm in 2022, I don't think we hardly ever had to reimburse anyone. Maybe every once in a while we'll miss a tree or something, but we'll make it right. But yeah, we're really good at estimating what your system's going to produce.
Right. And that's really good for the customer.
Yes.
Now, our motto here at ES Solar is 100% customer satisfaction. What else do you think? How do we strive for that? What else can we do, or what you do to strive for that 100% customer satisfaction?
I think kind of circling back to what Zach said is that ES Solar, we really do try to make it right. So if there is an issue, no matter what the issue is, we really put a lot of investigation into it to see what possibly went wrong. One, to then go back and fix any processes that might have caused that issue in the first place. And then also to definitely make sure that we make it right for the customer. So whether that's a reimbursement of some sort or just ensuring that the customer has what they expected, within the expectations that were initially set, right? So we really do strive to work together, and that's where Zach and I work together a lot to make sure that we do make it right for customers and what they expect.
A couple things that I think of with that is, number one, we're in this for the long haul. We're not some of these, solar gets kind of a black eye because there's a lot of fly-by-night horror stories that you hear.
Yeah.
ES Solar is a local company. We've got 400 plus local employees. I see my customers everywhere I go. Restaurants, lagoon. I don't want to see a customer in a grocery store and have to duck my head and run because we misled them or we didn't take care of them. And that's how everyone's attitude. It starts with the CEO and COO, the founders, Chris and Jeff. We live here and we want to take care of our customers. Now, we're not perfect. We know mistakes are going to get made. It's a construction project. It's impossible to not make mistakes sometimes.
Right.
But we'll do whatever we can if it was our fault to make it right to the customer, because we're in this for the long haul and we're nothing without our customers. So we want to make sure that we take good care of them and set the right expectation up front. And we're not like a lot of companies. We'll tell you the truth from the beginning, and we might miss out on a sale because of it, because another company was telling you didn't need a battery, and we were trying to just sell you and then we've seen that a lot where it circles around, and now a year into their system they realize, we actually did need a battery, and then that customer becomes our customer down the road anyway. And we'd much rather do that than the other way, and just say whatever we need to get a sell and then just move states, because that's not ES Solar's business plan. We've been in business for longer than anyone here in Utah, and we're planning on being here for the long haul. So
good. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
It is awesome. So at the long haul, we've got a lifetime warranty. What does that include?
Yeah, so the lifetime warranty, what that includes is really just a couple things. So it includes the labor. So we'll come out and we'll service the system free of charge. So whenever they have a Solar Edge alert, like I was mentioning earlier, we send our service technicians out free of charge to the customer. So, and make sure that we get the system operational. Now, this is also including, this is also in regards to the manufacturer warranty. So as long as the manufacturer warranty is good, then the customer's not going to have to pay for any equipment as well. So anything that can be sent back for an RMA is what we called it, or basically a return, and then we get the new product back, then we will install that for the customer without any charge to them.
That's a huge thing for us that separates us from our competitors, because every solar company, like I say, talks about manufacturer's warranties because it's easy, because it's a 25-year panel warranty and every manufacturer has that. Yeah. What they usually don't talk about is their labor warranty, or their, we are the actual contractor. We do the install, which is huge, but ES really prides itself. Most installers will give you a 1 to 5 year labor warranty.
Right.
And the lifetime warranty really separates us, where, as long as you're under warranty with your manufacturer, we're going to do everything and help you get it, shipped out or whatever, to get it RMA'd, like Felisha said, and come out and do the labor and get it up and running for you. So I think that's a big win for customers of ES Solar for sure.
Now, can you tell me a moment that you're proud of a level of customer service where you went above and beyond here at ES Solar? Like, is there a moment where you're just like, oh, we did this for a customer, it was so awesome? Is there anything you can share, a story or anything?
Yeah, there was one particular customer, and it was kind of, a unique situation in the sense of he called in, and he was just really dissatisfied with how his solar was producing. And he really had thought that when in the sales process and the beginning of the process that he was going to be getting a bigger system than he did. Now, it wasn't necessarily that any expectations weren't set properly, because they were. It was just the customer was under the impression that they were going to be getting a different product than they did. So they thought they were going to get a larger system. So after talking to the customer and hearing them out, I was able to talk with our inventory manager and kind of see what other panels we might have that, we don't have a lot of them. And I think we're out now, but we had a few extras of some older model panel that I was able to offer to the customer at a lower cost than our normal cost. And it was something that he agreed to. He was happy. And it was just a way that we were able to kind of go a little above and beyond by offering, a service that we don't normally provide or are able to provide, but we did because we had the extra capacity to do so.
It's great.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome story.
There's several stories like that.
Yeah.
So I think we've been a part of a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
The ones that stick out to me the most is there's a few Gold Star families that been interested in. So Gold Star meaning they lost their husband in military service, and got up to the higher ups, Chris and Jeff, and we take care of those in the military and police and all the first responders. And we actually comped a few systems completely. Yes, paid for the labor, paid for the equipment. And it wasn't something they even asked for. It's just we found out who they were and kind of what they were going through. And like I say, we're part of the community. And ES was more than happy to take care of those families and completely on us, which is cool.
It's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. Do you guys ever look over like our reviews, our Google reviews or anything? Do you ever read through those?
I do all the time.
Yeah, I do.
I love the ones. So one thing that I will say is it's very abnormal to be we send a lot of people door to door. We do other marketing as well, but to be a door to door company with almost 10,000 installs now in the state of Utah, and to have 2,500 plus Google reviews with a 4.7 rating is incredible. For door, any other company would die to have that sort of, even if they weren't door to door, but it's unheard of. There's not another, I challenge anyone to find another solar company in the country that has that many reviews with that high of a rating. Now, obviously we're not perfect, but I do like reading them because a lot of them, Josie, are my customers, and it's good to see, oh yeah, I took care of that customer and they're happy. I don't like seeing the ones that don't leave a good review, and we try to do our best to reach out to those customers and find out where we missed the expectation and if it was on our side or just a misunderstanding, and do our best to solve those as well. But I feel like the reviews really tell the story of ES Solar, that we do a good job overall with our customers, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
You can definitely tell. We're always striving for the 100% customer satisfaction.
Yes.
And if you didn't know before, now you for sure know, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys would want to add or touch on?
I don't think so.
Nothing.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Felisha. Thank you very much, Zach. But how can our customers reach out to you, or if anyone has questions, how can they get in contact with you?
So you can just reach us at our main number, which is the 801-614-0606. Customer service extension is option 3.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And if you want to get a hold of sales for a quote, or you're interested in adding a battery, you already have solar on your system, you want to add a battery to it, call the same number Felisha just said. Extension 1 is our leads department, and they'll have access to all of our ETs or sales guys' calendars and be able to get someone out to you in your area and see if it's a good fit for your home.
Perfect. Or they can just go to essolar.com to get that information.
That as well.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And thank you again. It was great to hear stories about 100% customer satisfaction. And thank you all for watching our episode of the Huddle podcast. Like, subscribe to our page, and share any comments you want to hear of future topics on our podcast. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.